This is Kingdom Faith, where we talk about the Christian life, the good stuff, and the hard stuff. On this week's episode, I have the youth of Redland Baptist Church. Not all the youth, because we would probably be up here for a little while, but we have the youth here and four guys here we'll get to talk to, and it's been a blessing to have you guys here. It's been a blessing to see all the work you guys done. I know today you did a lot of lifting from the old church and threw a bunch of old divider walls into the dumpster, and I know some of you even got a few little cuts on you, and you guys have been working hard. We built the whole porch.
Yeah.
You guys have been doing a great job, and there's some things I want to ask you guys, but before we get started, why don't you tell me your name?
My name is Javaris.
Javaris, and tell me something that you enjoy doing.
I like to play football, and I like to wrestle. So.
You like to play football. What's your favorite position in football?
Punter.
The punter?
Yeah.
That's not a typical answer.
But if I can't play punter, I like to be the quarterback.
Yeah, the quarterback. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me your name?
I'm Jonathan.
What do you like to do?
Basketball and football.
Basketball and football. What's your favorite spot?
QB.
QB. Everybody wants to be the star player.
No, you got to sometimes.
Yeah. So why did you guys decide to come here? Come to Huntington, Indiana, a small little town from Georgia.
Well, the reason why I wanted to come, when I came last year, I really didn't have a good connection with, or a good connection with any people at the soup kitchen, or have a good effort of putting work and stuff or helping out. And so the reason why I came this year is try to do better helping out with the soup kitchen, or do better with the work and asking people around, do they need any help with the work? So yeah.
Yeah. So Jonathan, why did you decide to come here in Huntington?
Well, I just felt like the Lord was leading me here. I like to work and help people as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do like to do a lot of outside work. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the same type of person. I love to do outside work, and I know Creston has taught me a lot, just how to build a porch, and I know he's probably taught you boys a little bit while you guys were here. And but again, I'll say it's been a blessing to have you guys, and I know your theme that you guys have been talking about when you've been doing your devotions and things like that is, where have you seen God at while you were here? So Javaris, tell me where you've seen God at while you've been here.
Well, the place where I've seen God at is at the soup kitchen. Is how we all come together and just have a good time, have conversations with the other people, and just, like I said earlier, just have a good time and just serve other people that might not be able to eat or nothing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Jonathan, where have you seen God at?
I'm going to say soup kitchen and our work.
Yeah. So why, serving and seeing God here at the soup kitchen and those things, why does that mean so much to you to get to do that?
Well, first off, it's because, half the people that's there, they probably don't have any food at home or can't be able to afford any, so it feels good to see all of them people there have a good big smile on their face.
Yeah.
That's probably, yeah.
Well, some of the people don't have a lot of family members that care about them, and so I like to try to become a close friend to them so they have somebody that they can hang out with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's so important, especially with those at the meal ministry. It's one thing to get to feed them a meal, but it's one thing to actually get to connect with them. And I know that's something that you guys have been trying harder and harder to do since you've been here. I know you've probably gotten better and better at it, from Monday to Thursday now, to just get to talk to them, get to know them, ask them how their day is. All that stuff means so much to them. And I know anytime that we have mission teams that come here, with kids or with whatever, there's seems like to be a bigger joy because people from another state are coming here to serve them a meal and show them the love of Christ and the love of Jesus and what that can do in their own lives. And that's such a blessing, I know, that it has been to them as well. So all this is great, but what are you guys going to take back to Georgia? The stuff that you learned here about where you've seen God at, how you serve, all those types of things. How are you going to take that back to Georgia?
Well, the first thing is my work ethic. I really didn't have that good of a work ethic, so I'm gonna take that back, and the other one is showing more like kindness to people. You know, like I learned a lot at the soup kitchen. You can't be too fast or like too judgy with people. Just take it slow and just try to have a conversation with them. So, yeah.
I'm gonna say work ethic too. I don't like to do a lot of work when I'm at home unless if I'm forced to. And also just being more social and not too pushy with people.
So let me ask you guys one more question before the next group comes. Did you think that the people at the soup kitchen would look a lot different or talk a lot different than you guys?
Well, at first, kind of, but at the same time, no, because I really haven't been to the soup kitchen in Valdosta, so I really don't know how they was gonna talk or react. But I can see now they kind of do act a little different from
a little
people.
Different.
Yeah. In Valdosta.
Yeah, I would have think that they would have acted a bit different from people in Valdosta, just because they don't have a lot of family members and they don't get talk to a lot of people. So some of them could be antisocial. So.
Yeah. Well, again, I want to thank both of you for being on the podcast and sharing just your thoughts that you've had this week. And again, thank you for all the work that you two have done. And I hope that you take all this stuff back and you say, well, what can I do for the people in Georgia that I did for the people in Huntington? Because trust me when I tell you, there's a lot of hurting people here, but there's just as many hurting people in Georgia that need just as much service and care that you guys did here. You got to take that back to Georgia, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So I got my next two boys here from Redland Baptist Church, and they're going to give us their thoughts. But first, tell me your guys' names.
My name is Kenan Dixon.
My name is Ian Hewlett.
Well, it's good to meet you, Kenneth and Kenan.
Yeah, there you go.
And Ian.
Yes,
Kenan and Ian. Kenan, tell me something you enjoy doing.
For about 8 years, I played soccer. I really fell out of that, but I do still enjoy it. And I do like to play football every once in a while.
Yeah, so what position in football do you like to play?
Either wide receiver or running back.
Yeah. Ian, tell me something you enjoy doing.
I mean, I like a lot of stuff. I like drawing, painting, music. I like football and basketball. Yeah, I like soccer too.
Yeah.
School's pretty good too.
Yeah. Part of me...
I feel like you're lying.
Yeah. At least it wasn't good for me, but maybe now I look back on it and it wasn't too bad. But I saw Ian make a pretty amazing wooden shotgun or sniper rifle or whatever it was.
A sniper rifle.
Actually was able to cock it and everything. So you probably like building and those types of things as well.
I like making stuff with my hands.
Yeah. I do as well, and so tell me, boys, why'd you decide to come on this mission trip?
Well, I went to Huntington last year with Redland, and while we were here, I just found an overwhelming sense of more fellowship and faith, and I just felt God in this place a lot. It seems a lot stronger because how tight knit this community is from Valdosta.
I mean, I kind of felt the same way, but I had also been here last year, and it was a really great experience last year, and I decided I wanted to come again, and we also really didn't finish the work we started last year, so I wanted to build on that and just work for God.
Yeah, and I like that attitude, what you said, Ian, work for God, and yeah, both of you guys were here last year, so I'll ask you a question I didn't prompt you guys, was... What's something new that you see this year that maybe you didn't see last year?
Well, with last year I spent most of the time demoing the old stairs at the men's house and putting up the new ones. I only went to the soup kitchen about 2 times, and now that I'm in there, it's a different atmosphere than being at this church and doing construction.
Yeah.
Because over here, when doing the construction, you feel this atmosphere of trying to get the work done and everything. And at the soup kitchen, you're trying to slow down and have this conversation with people and just serve God over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I kind of felt the same way. Like, I only went to the soup kitchen about 1 or 2 times last year, but now that I'm in there, I really see the difference that place is making to people, and like they actually need stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We also had a lot more people last year, so I think a tighter circle makes a bigger impact because it's a closer relationship, and you get to support one another and dive into each other's lives a bit more than if there was a big group. So last year we had a really big group.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really have that much of a personal relationship as we do this year.
Yeah, I like that. And I agree, you know, like you said, you know, maybe with that big group that you guys had last year, we were able to get a lot done construction-wise, but maybe you missed out on some of the personal relationships that you could have built with maybe some of the people at the soup kitchen or anywhere.
I feel like we brought more of just one family to come and do this mission trip instead of a whole church like we did last year.
Mm-hmm. And obviously there's moments for each one, but I'm glad that you're able to maybe get a more personal connection with the people at the soup kitchen and anywhere else that you guys have served. So again, you know, your theme has been where you've seen God at. So I'll ask both of you, you know, where have you seen God at while you've been here?
Well, we heard from our pastors how people were reacting when they figured out that we had started clearing out the basement in the old church and working over there.
Mm-hmm.
A few people were told us that was where their faith in Christ started. Mm-hmm. And I felt like God had drawn us here, had drawn this group here to go, and had drawn y'all's church to buy that church so we could go and clear it out and bring faith back into some people in Huntington.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Bible says, God uses everything for His glory, and I feel like even the smallest stuff we did on this mission trip has made a big impact, because I've heard that the people at this church have been talking about us for the past year over the 4 or 5 days of work we did last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw God in the soup kitchen as well, and we had a pretty strong connection with the people there. And just working at this church and the other church that we're remodeling, I feel like we're having a bigger impact than we did last year on some of this.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw God in our group as well. Like, we're stronger friends than we ever used to be because of this mission trip. And I feel like we're more loving to one another, and we're accepting each other more. And a big verse that we've talked about this week was Matthew 7, 1 through 5, which was, do not judge others. Look at your own life before you look at other people's. So,
as well as Luke, I think 7. Over on
Luke 6.
Luke
6:37. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. I feel like that's had like a major impact. I mean, our pastor used it in his Wednesday night sermon while he was came as a guest pastor for y'all, and I think it's just made a bigger impact on our group as we came up here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I feel like most of us in this group pretty much everyone has removed something from their lives so that they could look at each other clearer. And we've had a much tighter bond this year.
Yeah, that's great, guys. That's great. So what are you guys hoping to take back to Georgia?
Well, I'm not sure I want to go back. But,
yeah, I think you do after today. It's pretty cold today.
Yeah, it's pretty cold. You know, like the other group said, some work ethic would be nice. I tend not to do work as I'm at home. And this overwhelming sense of faith that I felt in Huntington by all these people who, you know, just they don't have much in their lives, but they still seem so peaceful and happy with it. I want to take back that faith with me to Valdosta and spread it around to groups there. And you know, coming here and having this fellowship with these people, I want to take that back and try and get a stronger fellowship and a stronger connection with the people in Valdosta.
Great.
most of the people that I've come in contact with on several trips have led me closer to God, and I feel like I'll take home a stronger relationship with Him.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we're gonna have a lot of inside jokes on this trip, just like last year, and I feel like we'll take that home and use it for the next several months.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have a
Till
much
come
tighter
back.
friendship than we did before we came on this mission trip. And I feel like I'll have a more serving heart and throw away judgment
Mm-hmm.
for other people.
Yeah, that's great. Again, thank you, boys, for all that you guys done. Again, just like the other two boys, I've watched you, carrying stuff.
Watching us?
Yes, I'm always watching.
Creepy.
Yeah, drilling in, screwing the post in for the porch over there, and again, just thank you, boys, for all the work you're doing. And I hope that when you go back, like you're able to do everything you want. And again, I know one of your other things that you guys have talked about this week is distractions.
Mm-hmm.
When you get home, maybe the reason why it's harder to work is because those distractions are there. And when you go on the mission trip, maybe not as many distractions. You're more focused on serving and doing those things. So hopefully when you guys go back, that's the mindset you have. And maybe if you guys come next year, you can tell me about how you served in Georgia and the things that you got to do there. And that would be a blessing to me to get to hear. And I know that would be a blessing in your own lives. Because anytime I know when you continue to serve, and not just serve because you feel obligated to, but to actually serve the Lord, to serve Jesus Christ, you always is blessed because of it. Mm-hmm. You always got a blessing. So again, thank you, boys, for being on the podcast.
Yes,
and again, just thank you for everything that you guys are doing. So I got the main man here now, not so much the young guy of the group, but definitely I would call you the leader of the group. Again, I'll say we're supposed to have Garrett on the podcast, but he's feeling a little bit under the weather, so hopefully he starts to feel a little bit better. But I got you, Creston, here, and your team's been a blessing to us.
Well, thank you, Philip. It's been a joy to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I was here last year as well, and got to take a group of boys that just hadn't really ever done much of anything with their hands together, and they were real excited what they accomplished. And some of those are back and able to finish working on the porch next door, but they're also excited. They've been talking about the change that they could see just from hauling trash out of the other church, and how much different that building looks now.
Mm-hmm.
That some of that's been removed, and landscaping at the women's home, and putting up the last few pieces of drywall in the balcony and the sanctuary, and just even as they were able to go and just sweep and clean inside this church, and they've all been just talking about what a joy it's been to be here, and how they just sense they feel different, and that's good.
Yeah. So the theme of this week that I've heard come out of your mouth quite often, and it's been a blessing to hear just for myself, because with all the work that's going on, you can sometimes lose track that God is all around us, that God is here, God is moving, God is doing things. So that's been a blessing in my life, to even just to hear you do these small devotions or small reminders to these kids, and sitting on them and getting to listen to them. But I'll ask you where you've seen God here in Huntington.
Well, it is definitely a different trip this year. Last year we brought about 40 people. This year we have 14. And some of the differences that meant, last year we were in 5 vehicles and chasing each other, and we actually got divided, and one group went through Nashville and another group went through Knoxville. And then the group, my van was trying to get everybody back together and get us so that we'd travel in a convoy. And then once the other one said, no, we're not coming back, then I'm the last one back behind. But somehow, when it was time to pull into here, I'm the first one in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to them and how they got lost. But this is a whole different year. And this year, we're just in one vehicle. So we made the whole trip together. And Garrett and I, even though he's not here right now, we got to share the driving. But we also got to share a lot of our thoughts and just thinking on the way up. And so, we knew it was going to be a mission trip. We knew last year kind of how it went, and it impacted several kids' lives very positively. Some of the adults very positively too, and the adults that didn't come back were really upset that they couldn't come. But life happens. You got to do what you got to do, and so that went on. But the theme, and you've mentioned it, and we'll talk about it again, I'm sure, in just a minute, about where have you seen God and how are you seeing God as you go. was really kind of an accident.
Yeah.
It's funny, God does those things.
Mm-hmm.
He loves to work with accidents and then turn them into something very impactful and very meaningful. And that's what he's done here.
Mm-hmm.
On the way up, just talking about the different kids that we had with us and where they were, because Garrett spends, every week he spends time with them, and I don't, because my position in the church is different. I'm more of the Sunday guy, and I actually work with the younger kids right now, not these age, and adults. And so he's the one who knows these kids back and forth. And so he's telling me about them and different things and how the ways he's hoping to see them grow. And I kind of wish he was here to speak to that a little more. But through that, when it was time to do the morning devotion Monday morning, I just asked God, what verse should I use? And he said, go to the Psalms. And so I did, and I picked a couple, and as I looked at them, they weren't right. And I finally settled on Psalm number 7, which talks about the glory of God. It leads to man's dignity. That's the way it's titled in my Bible. And as I was reading it, and it just over and over in that psalm, it talks about God showing himself to us. And it just struck me how God never stops. He's busy. He doesn't sleep like we do, and he doesn't get tired the way we get tired. And he doesn't reach the end of the day and go, oh my goodness, I just can't do anything else. He's going, and he just keeps going. And when he's not working here, he's working somewhere else in the world, and he's got thousands of projects going on all at the same time and doing them. And the reason we don't know that is because we just don't slow down and we don't look for him. And so it just struck me that with everything we talked about and where we sense our youth are, that's what they need. They just needed to slow down, pay attention to what's around them, see what's going on, and look for God every day. So in the morning, we have a devotion that talks a little bit about looking for God. Where are you going to see God today? Keep your heart open, your mind open, your eyes open. What did you see yesterday? You'll see more of that, but there'll be something new. Look for that new thing that God's doing today that he'll show you. But then at night, after everybody leaves and it's quiet and it's just us here in the church, we go down in the main room beside the coffee bar, and we circle up the chairs. And we just spend about 30 or 45 minutes just answering the question, where did you see God today? And some of the answers are kind of silly, but most of them are really meaningful and really impactful. And sometimes it's the quieter kid that speaks up and says, this is what I saw today. And everybody else goes, wow, that's amazing. And they always talk about the soup kitchen. Seems like everything is soup kitchen. But that's fine. That's great. Because last year when we were here, the groups talked about not going to the soup kitchen very much, but there's a reason for that, because last year the soup kitchen was basically closed. We put a table across the door, and you stood in the sidewalk and you said, I need 4 boxes, and we packed up 4 boxes and handed them across the table, and that was it. There wasn't a chance to talk or share or do anything.
I forgot that.
And so this year is so different. When they can come in and they sit down, and some of them are regular, some of them aren't. We had a gentleman traveling through. He had a backpack, and he just stopped in. He saw that there was a meal, and he tried to pay us, and we wouldn't take his money. But we had a good conversation with him, and his name was Andrew, and he's on his way heading to Colorado Springs, and hope he gets there safely. But he's just taking time to enjoy. Lots of questions about Huntington and what we were doing, and turns out he was a man of faith, and so it really struck a chord with him to know that the soup kitchen was there every day, feeding people and just being a resource and a ministry to those that might just need somebody to listen, or they might need more than that. They might need a real helping hand. And so very exciting to be a part of that this year and that to be different. There's a young boy that came in there. I won't say his name because there's been several young boys. It could be any one of them. But there was a young boy, and his mother let him pick up a Bible off of the free shelf. And apparently she's not let him take anything before. But he had already signed the paper saying that he was borrowing the Bible, so he had to take it, is what he told his mom. But she let him take it. And so he came back. And when he came back, was able to share with one of our young guys, not one of the ones that spoke here tonight, but that he'd been reading it. And that he found his own name in the Bible somewhere. I don't know where he found his name, because it's not a normal name, but he found it, he said, in the Bible, and it's just really got him excited, and he wants to read it every day. And they were so that one of our guys that's not real grounded yet, working on it, but not quite there, was able to have this conversation with this kid that's just discovering the Bible and God and Jesus and all of that, and was able to pour into him the little bit he knew, and already just such an encouragement for that. And so, where have I seen God? He's been everywhere. I mentioned I did get to preach Wednesday night, and thank you for that opportunity, that honor. But I told the group then, and I told our group, and I've told your church now, that when we came in Sunday morning, because last year we got here, we left on Sunday, so we got here early on Monday. This year we decided to do that different because it was so rushed and crowded and trying to work and get things done. So we came on Saturday. Nashville and Atlanta traffic slowed us way down, so we got here at 3 in the morning when we were hoping to get here closer to midnight or 11:30. But, those things happen. But when we came into the service and we sat down and the praise team started singing, just this overwhelming presence of God, and he just hasn't left.
Yeah.
It's just been all over the place. To see the men's ministry open now, that when we saw it, when it had to be gutted and putting up drywall and not able to get it all taped and bedded, and you're really feeling guilty, to be honest, that we're leaving with the work undone in our minds, but then to come back and see the building open, and that at 3 in the morning, Sunday morning, to pull in this parking lot, and that building is glowing, the yellow glow coming out the windows, knowing that there's people in there being ministered to, even if it's just simply at the moment, protection from the cold. But I know it's more than that. I know it's a lot more than that. And then to get to meet Carl and the other Phil and some people that are involved in that ministry and hear some of the impacts that's already being had, it's just... It's amazing to be able to be a part of that and to know that, God would have done it without us, but he didn't. He called us up here from South Georgia so that we could be a part of it and know it's happening. It's been a great week.
Yeah. That's so cool, stories that you shared, and just, like you said, that house was going to get built regardless. But when God actually gives us the opportunity to use our hands and our feet for his glory, it's such an amazing feeling, and you really get that sense of, wow, I did this for the Lord. This is the Lord's work. That's when you get to help people, and something that you kind of challenged us on Wednesday, and I'm sure that's what also you hope for the kids as well, but was to love more. To actually love people, not to judge them, not to condemn them, to forgive them, all those types of things. What we talked about, and the boys had mentioned that verse that you used on Wednesday. We got to be the ones to love. The world's not doing a great job with that.
No, they're not.
So we as believers, we who are children of God, need to be the one to show God's love.
That's right.
And then with that, God gives us the opportunity to show his love, what godly love looks like, how God actually loves us. He doesn't judge us. He doesn't say, well, you're not strong enough, you're not this or that. He accepts us how we are. And that's such a beautiful thing, and he expects us as believers in Jesus Christ to do that with those around us.
That's right.
And that's a huge piece. But so Creston, let me ask, what do you hope from all the 10 youth kids you have?
Yeah, I think it's 10. There's 4 adults, 10 youth, yes.
What do you hope these 10 kids take back to Georgia?
So everything that the boys that sat up here and talked about, I hope they take that back. Work ethic's a big deal.
Yeah.
I've been on other trips with these groups, these kids. I've been on youth camp. I've been on Disciple Now and some other things as a chaperone, whatever. Not really leading, but just, warm-bodied adult, stand in the door so they don't run out. But it's like pulling teeth. It's like pulling teeth. There's things to do. We ate breakfast. Your trash is on the table, and you walk away from it. Hello. It hadn't been like that.
Yeah.
They really have picked up a little bit of a work ethic, and I'm hoping they take that home, because some of the kids that are with us, their parents aren't really church people.
Yeah.
And we have a really strong Wednesday night program for children and for youth, and we bus kids in and all kinds of stuff. That's when we do our meal. We don't do a meal every day. We do a meal once a week, and that's on Wednesday night. But it's a good, hearty, fill you up, you're going to sleep good tonight kind of meal. And but there's also fun and games, activities, and learning. And I mentioned to the church, your church, that we teach our kids about creation on Wednesday nights, because we know the school doesn't. Yeah. That the school's teaching something else, and it doesn't make sense what they're teaching. And when they get down to the nitty-gritty of it, it falls apart. Yeah. But they're teaching it as if it's solid fact. And anyway, so we teach creation. And all the kids, they talk to their friends want to come, and it's a really exciting thing. But their parents don't necessarily want to come. So most of the kids we see on Wednesday, we never see on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that the ones that are here will take that back with them, that work ethic. And when they get home, that they'll do things that they didn't do before, just normal chores. Take out the trash. You know, that's one thing, you haven't seen this part, but we tell them, if you walk by the trash can and it's full, take it out. You know where it belongs. The little dumpster's right outside. It's not like it's a long journey. It's closer than it is at your house probably to get to the trash can. Just take it out. And they've been doing that. And little things like that. We haven't had, last year we had to take the games away for a day and a half. No pool, no ping pong. They thought the world was going to end. But because they wouldn't do their trash. They wouldn't keep up their clothes off the floor. And so this year we haven't had any of that. So it's the other piece. The Ian that sat here just a minute ago talked about how they've come closer. And that really is true. We have several sets of siblings with us this time. And they don't get along at home. And they often don't get along at Wednesday nights, but they know the rules. And they know they have to. But that they do the bare minimum to meet what has to be. And I've actually seen them sit down beside each other and talk, which, you know, if you've ever been through siblings that fight all the time, that's a big deal. And so there really is a sense of drawing closer to God, of feeling his presence, of knowing that God wants to use them. And that's another thing that Garrett and I have really tried to bring home to them this week, is that they're the ones doing this work. You know, maybe we're leading them, maybe we're giving them direction, go do this, go do that, but they're the ones actually doing it. So anybody that comes by, they didn't see me carrying panels out of that church. They saw the kids carrying panels out of that church.
Yeah, absolutely.
They saw the kids throwing the junk, the broken down cabinets that we pulled out of the basement. That's who they saw working. They didn't see the adults out here doing it and the kids following us around. It's the other way around. They saw us following them, and that's the way we wanted it to be. And they caught it. They realized that people see they're doing something. Yeah. And then Wednesday night after church, I had 4 or 5 different church members come to me and talk about the other building when they learned that we were doing work over there. And you know, I know we're not the first ones; others have done work over there. But for whatever reason, it struck a chord with them. And one gentleman in particular told me that the first time he ever went to Sunday school was in that building. Yep. And for him to know that that building is in the process of becoming a source of ministry again. There's something like coming home, is the way he described it, and a reignition of his faith. And the kids realizing that God brought them here so they could be a catalyst for somebody else to get closer to God, just because they did a little hard labor. And that's a concept that was foreign to them. They had no idea that God could do that kind of thing. And so I'm hoping to take that back home and find places there. You know, you said to them that people in Georgia are hurting just like people in Huntington, and that's exactly true. Yeah. But these kids don't see that. They ride the bus to school. They come home to their house. They know what their house is like. They know what the neighbors are like, but they don't really see the guys living under the bridge and all of that. And because our weather is so much milder, we have anywhere, depending on the season, anywhere from 700 to 1,000 homeless people wandering through our county. Yep. Because we're right there on the Florida line. And they don't see that. They don't realize that all of that is out there and it needs help just like everybody. And I used a passage that I stole from a friend of mine. He's a pastor in Nashville, Tennessee. He's a missions pastor, takes people all over the place. He's probably retired by now, but we're all just beggars looking for food. Yep. And when we find something, God expects us to share it. Yep. And when we find a nugget of his truth, we're just supposed to tell somebody else. You know, this is what God has done for me. I don't know the answers to everything else, but I know what he's done for me, and that's all we're supposed to share. And it's our job to do that. And I'm hoping that they catch that, take that home, and they keep doing that. It's different. You know, we remember what it was like for us, but I think being a youth is so different now than it was when I was a youth. And you talked about how you had the older, bigger guy. Well, I am the oldest guy on our team. And so one of the ladies didn't believe me, but we checked our driver's license, and she now believes me. Yeah. But I've seen a lot of things, and I've seen peer pressure change, and it's not what it used to be, and it's in a whole different direction than it ever used to be. It's not sneaking out after curfew and going to a movie. It's doing all kinds of stuff that they ain't got no business doing.
Yeah.
And going home and facing that and declaring Jesus, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hoping they catch a little bit of that. And
Yeah.
that they go home different enough that their friends say, what happened to you?
Mm.
And that they're willing to say, I went on a mission trip. That's all
Yeah.
they got to say.
Yeah.
That's all they got to say. And they'll ask questions if they want to know, and then they'll give the answers, and God will use it. God will work in that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm hoping they catch and take home with them.
Mm-hmm. There was once a pastor, I forget now where I heard it. Might have been on the radio, might have been in person. I don't remember anymore. But he said something similar to what you had mentioned, the idea of the work ethic being so important. He was saying things like, go home, do your chores without your mom asking, especially if your parents don't go to church or they don't believe in God and some of those types of things. Do your homework when you want, clean your room and then he mentioned the idea that one day your mom or your dad's going to ask, what can I do for you? Or why are you doing this without asking, or all those types of things, and then you get to share with them, well, because of Christ, or something like that. And I thought that was so true, the idea that we should be the ones to step out and just do it. We should be the ones to step out and serve, step out and help, and I know that's been a huge blessing to our church to see you come twice with the kids that you had. I know some of them have been just the first time, some of them come twice. But to see, a group of people come to help us, to do things that, we're not able to do or anything like that. I know it seems to always just, at least for a little while, stir a fire up in us. And that's what I hope for our church. That just you being here, maybe your message on Wednesday impacted somebody, that next week they'll come and say, well, I want a little bit more of that. I want a little bit more of a relationship with Jesus or something like that, because that would be such a huge moment for me. And then I would text you and I know share that with you, because God uses so many different people. And that's another thing you mentioned that I thought was so important, just also in the devotion that you guys did this morning. When, everybody's different. God didn't make us the same. We're all different. And, Paul kind of uses that analogy in the body of Christ. He mentions to the Corinthian church, what would a body look like if we were all hands or all feet or whatever. And that's so true. God's made us to do so many different things, to be so many different types of people, to move in so many different ways. And I know you guys coming from all the way from Georgia to this cold town in Huntington, especially today, God will use it.
I think so.
He'll use it for our
we're
church.
sitting here talking, it's sleeting outside.
Yeah.
And we don't get that.
No.
We don't get that.
No,
this
you
year.
don't. We don't typically get it too
in
much now either, but
I'm going to make them go out and stand in it just so they experience it.
yeah. But I know he'll use it.
Yes.
I know God will use it for your church, and I know he'll use it for our church in many ways, because God can stretch as far as he can. Where we can never touch, that's where God can go. So again, thank you, Creston, for being on the podcast again. I'm sure if you guys come back next year or the year after or whenever, I'll have you on again to tell me what you guys been doing.
Awesome.
So that's been a huge blessing. Again, I'll just mention Luke chapter 6. I'm going to try to remember it. Just look it up yourself if I get it wrong. But it says, don't judge, or you too will be judged. Don't condemn, or you too will be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. I get it close?
Close enough.
Close
That's
enough.
right.
Thank you.
Luke 6:37.
Yeah.
You can find it on your own.
Yeah.
The version I used was the Holman Christian Standard, but like I told the church, it doesn't matter.
No.
Whatever version you have, Luke 6:37.
Yep, absolutely.
It's the right place.
Yep, absolutely. So, again, that will conclude our podcast for this week. Again, thank you, Redland Baptist Church. Even those who weren't able to make it, thank you for supporting us, sending prayers this way, all those different things. Just thank you for the blessing that you guys are to us. So that concludes our episode. If you'd like to leave a comment, you can do so down below. You can like and subscribe the video. You can email us at kingdomfaith2001@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for listening to Kingdom Faith.